Some secrets aren't meant to stay hidden forever, and sometimes the truth we discover doesn't break us, it rebuilds us. This is the story of a young man who believed his father never cared for him, until a rainy evening he found an old diary and inside it a truth that changed everything. It was late autumn in the small English town of Canterbury. The streets were quiet, lined with wet cobblestones, and the air smelled of smoke from distant chimneys. Ethan Parker, 27 years old, sat alone in his small flat, surrounded by boxes. His father, Richard Parker, had passed away a week ago, and today Ethan was finally sorting through what was left behind: the memories, the tools, the silence. You see, Ethan's father wasn't cruel, but he wasn't warm either. He was the kind of man who believed love was shown through responsibility, not words. Always working, always serious, always expecting more. Growing up, Ethan never heard words like, "I'm proud of you" or "I love you." Instead, it was always, "Work harder, Ethan. Stop wasting time. Be better." So, when his father passed away, Ethan didn't cry. He didn't feel anger or even sadness. He just felt nothing. Because how do you mourn someone who never truly let you in? Ethan opened one of the old boxes full of dusty books, rusty tools, and old photographs. Then, at the bottom of the drawer, he saw something unusual. A small, brown leather diary, its cover cracked with age, tied together by an old string. He untied it gently. On the first page, in faded ink, were the words, "For Ethan, when you're ready." Ethan froze. His heart raced as he sat down at the edge of the bed. The diary trembled slightly in his hands. He took a deep breath and began to read. The first entry was dated May 14th, 2005, Ethan's 7th birthday. "Today was Ethan's birthday. I wanted to buy him the red bicycle he liked, but overtime pay didn't come through. He smiled anyway when I gave him the small toy car. I saw the disappointment in his eyes, and it broke me. I'll make it up to him someday." Ethan's eyes widened. He remembered that day, but not like this. He remembered his father being distant, silent. He never thought his father had even noticed how he felt. He turned to the next page. "Ethan started football training today. I wanted to be there, but my shift got extended. I told my boss I needed to go. He laughed and said the boy won't remember, but I remember. I sat in the car park after work and cried for the first time in years." Ethan's hands began to shake. His chest felt heavy. He kept turning the pages faster now. Ethan won his first school award today. He looked for me in the crowd, but I wasn't there. I was fixing a generator at the factory. He doesn't know. I keep that photo in my locker. Tears blurred his vision. All these years, he thought his father didn't care. But now, he saw the truth. His father cared more than words could ever say. He just didn't know how to show it. As he neared the end of the diary, the handwriting began to change. Weaker, slower. "Ethan's grown now. He doesn't visit much. Maybe he thinks I never cared. Maybe that's my fault. I didn't know how to show love. My father never did either. I thought providing was enough. But now I realize love unspoken feels like love unseen. If he ever reads this, I want him to know. Every hard word I said came from fear. Fear that he'd live small. Fear that he'd forget his worth. I was proud every single day, just never brave enough to say it." Ethan couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered to the empty room, "Dad, I forgive you." The rain outside grew heavier, soft, rhythmic, comforting, and for the first time since his father's death, Ethan cried not out of pain, but out of understanding. The next morning, Ethan drove back to the old family house. The garden was quiet, touched with dew. He walked to the backyard, the same one his father had kept tidy for years, and sat on the old wooden bench. For the first time, he looked at everything differently. The broken fence his father had repaired each spring, the garden he maintained after long shifts, the perfectly arranged tools. Each one cared for like a piece of memory. And it hit him. His father hadn't been distant, he just loved in silence. That evening, Ethan placed the diary on his desk. Beside it, he opened a new notebook and began to write. "Dad taught me something I'll never forget. Love isn't perfect. It's not always loud. But even in silence, it can build a life." He smiled through his tears, feeling at last a strange peace, because love doesn't always speak. Sometimes it's built quietly, hidden in effort, sacrifice, and small moments that often go unseen. So, Before we judge someone's silence, let's look closer. Maybe behind that silence is someone who's been loving us all along in their own quiet way. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply waits to be found.